Last Monday, activists from over 30 states gathered at the Chamber of Commerce in the U.S. Trade Rep's office in D.C. to say no to TPP and fast-track authority. Hundreds of students, workers, teachers, immigrants, and small business owners took to the streets to protest this democracy-dismantling trade deal and the fast-track bill that would give presidents for the next 7 years a literal fast-track to zip ludicrous trade deals like this one through Congress, allowing for nothing but an up-down vote. Protesters chanted and shouted for justice, jobs, for living wages. Young activists stood within earshot of the White House calling for a future free from corporate rule. Fists and signs raised up. People before profit. Don't trade our future. Speakers rallied the crowd with straightforward talk and inspiration that surely would have made James Larkin jacked up and proud. Really, would have gotten anyone with a pulse who isn't a corporate shill jacked up and proud. Senator Bernie Sanders, who, by the way, is the only senator I've ever seen who actually marches with the people he's charged with governing, spoke to the crowd outside the U.S. Trade Rep's office, saying that the TPP is another corporate-backed agreement that is the latest in a series of failed trade policies which have cost us millions of decent-paying jobs, pushed down wages for American workers, and led to the decline of our middle class. The TPP must be defeated. Also present was a 15-foot-tall Trojan horse, representing all the weapon-wielding corporate ass-kissers hiding behind this gift of free trade. Then, last Tuesday, Justice League New York City arrived in the Capitol after a 9-day march from New York City, a day before 3 bills known as the Justice Package were introduced in Congress. In short, these bills seek to stop racial profiling, stop the militarization of our police, and provide investment in and guidance for youth and communities. Signs peppered the rally. Names of black men gunned down or killed by cops, Black Lives Matter, end police brutality, take on hate, and of course the mantra of the march, march to justice. Members of Congress and local activists rallied the crowd with speeches and chants that filled the Hill. Under a sky filled with darkening clouds, again, anyone with a pulse would have been hard-pressed not to feel the urge to raise a fist and join the fight. About halfway through the rally, I got the chance to speak to one of the marchers, Sally Rumble, about her experience marching, why she marched, and why this issue is everyone's issue. Take a look. Sally, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm curious, tell us a little bit about the march and why you joined in.
Sure. So the March to Justice is organized by the Justice League, New York Justice League. We are presenting Congress with 3 federal bills tomorrow. The End Racial Profiling Act, the Stop the Militarization of Law Enforcement Act, and the Youth Promise Act, which is basically an investment in youth, like, trying to encourage Congress to invest in youth again. And think of alternative ways, alternatives to incarceration, invest in communities, prevent, kids who are born into underserved communities from, having to resort to gangs to find family and mentors. A lot of work to do. I joined because this is the work that matters for me. I've been involved in this space for a few years now, probably from the Trayvon Martin case. That's when it really amped up for me. There was a lot of activism going on in New York City, and I was joining a lot of marches back then and protests. And then I kind of learned of this group through social media, the power of social media, particularly with the Eric Garner case. And I was involved in the royal shutdown and days and days of protesting and shutting down bridges for Eric Garner. And so it was kind of a really easy choice for me to join this movement. I decided back in the winter that this was important work for me, and now it's over. I can't believe it.
And I'm sure you're looking forward to some rest now, but I'm curious, so that there have been so many protests and marches, and the Black Lives Matter movement has done an incredible job of messaging. Why specifically now, and why specifically this march from New York City to D.C.?
Yeah, I think that it's so important to continue the pressure on the government. I think that there's no shortage of police killings and brutality cases. We lost 3 lives on the march itself in different cities along the way. So that's just yet another indication of the work that that needs to be done, and that we're going to continue to put pressure on law enforcement, on the government, until change comes.
And how do you feel that people can become a part of this if they're not marching with you? How do you feel that people can tap into this and become part of this movement?
I mean, gosh, I think storytelling is huge. I think we need to not be afraid of having the difficult conversations, particularly when it comes to race. Um, you know, uh, I think there's a lot of fear surrounding this issue, and it's for me, it's not even a choice to stand up. But I think the more people that join the movement, and if you like what you see here, we welcome you. This is going to take far more than one march to get the work done. So sign up, join us.
And what would you say also to people who say, well, this is the Black Lives Matter movement. It's not involved with what I'm doing, say environmentalism, or even I'm not black, so it's not my issue. How would you comment on that connectivity?
Yeah, I think that I'm not black, so it's not my movement is a little bit of a cop out. It's kind of like similar to the feminist movement. I mean, we have to call it out because not enough people care. There's been a lot of kind of backlash at the All Lives Matter hashtag. I think that I see what's behind that. However, I think there's also danger in polarizing communities. I think that all lives matter. However, until it's common knowledge that Black Lives Matter, we have to continue to call it out. I'm a white woman. What am I doing here? I don't want to wait until it affects my community, to then do the work. So, as a human being, I think this is a human cause, and if you have a heart, you know, you do the work.
And how would you describe, briefly, how would you describe the experience of marching? You said you marched for 4 days. How would you describe that experience?
Wow. I guess I didn't really know what to expect, and it really was just pounding the pavement one foot after the other on asphalt, highway, Route 1, while traffic is going by. But the organization of this, community is so tight. We had 4 marshals that kept us safe. 4 men that were there, and they took their job so seriously, because it sounds really easy to just like walk in single file along the road, but believe me, it's not. um, in 80-degree heat, the first day I joined, it was 82 degrees, I think. Sweat's running down your face. You're just looking at the person in front of you's feet, and one misstep, and you're like kicking the heels of the person in front of you, or you're falling in a ditch, and it's as simple as that. So the singing and the chants helped a lot. But it's so much harder than you would think.
Well, I can imagine. Do you have any chance that you could share with us real fast?
Gosh, so many. A lot of no justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it now? If we don't get it, shut it down. What else? Now I'm blanking, and I've been singing them for days. We march in for our sisters and our brothers. That was a good one. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So how did people react when you came into their towns or their cities, or they ran into you? How did people react to the T-shirts or the chants or the message?
It varied a lot. We got a lot of salutes from the black community on the side of the road, from road workers, a lot of fist pumps. It was really cool. We did get some hostility from some white communities when we hit Maryland. We got a lot of like fingers and just yelling white power, which was really weird. There's a lot of hate out there. So, get a job, that was another one. But this is a nonviolent movement, and it's nothing but love, and so it's really hard to be angry at a group of peaceful marchers that are singing.
And of course, that reaction of the people who were yelling white power is obviously evidence that we need this sort of movement. You had mentioned earlier something about the organizers. Talk a little bit about the people that put this march on.
Yeah. So I think at the helm there are three women: Linda Sarsour, Tamika Mallory, and Carmen Perez. And they are phenomenal women. They're phenomenal organizers and leaders. They're young. They've been doing this work for 10, 15 years. Just when our spirits were low, when we were tired, when the blisters set in, when we faced, some danger, I guess, in Baltimore when we were outside the Western District Police Department protesting for Freddie Gray. Things kind of went awry there. The community turned on us, and Tamika was the first one to remind us why we're here and why we're all in this struggle together, and to not turn on each other, and that we're against the system, we're not against law enforcement. And to have that clarity in a really stressful, intense moment like that is absolutely beautiful to watch. I mean, it's a gift. And I just remember kind of turning to the person next to me and saying, "Thank God she's here," you know? So, I'm just like, I'm taking notes. I want to learn from them.
And of course, the work that you do is creative activism as well. So you can, I'll be interested to see how Creative Mornings make something out of your experiences here.
Absolutely. I've learned a lot about community building and community maintenance, I think, during adversity. So I'm going to take that back to Creative Mornings, and we'll see what happens.
For more information on the Justice League, check out the site below, which will also be included in the site list at the end of the show.